Welcome viewers from all around the world to the first official episode of Box Spring Motors. We are going to be disassembling this M54 B30 engine today, and we are building this to push about 700 horsepower. As you can see, I'm taking off the intake manifold. I'm making sure I am very detailed and organized where all my hardware goes. Even if I'm going to not reuse it and use only the original hardware, I want to make sure everything is labeled and kept together. So when the assembly comes of the engine, everything is just that much easier. The first milestone to hit, of course, is disassembling the engine. As I am voicing over right now, the heads, block, and crankshaft are at Miami Engines in Boca Raton, South Florida. They're going to be doing all the head work as well as drilling out where the head bolts go from an M10 size to an M12, so I can install M12 head studs to be able to handle more boost. 95% of the stuff coming off of this engine is going to be replaced. We're going to reuse the cams. We're going to change out all the timing components. I already threw all the chains away, all the guides, tensioners, but we will be replacing all those. So currently the head is at a machine shop. I ended up buying a different block for $100, and the crank that came out of this engine you see me taking apart was actually bad on one of the journals, so I ended up buying another crank from the same person I bought the other block from. So the block cost me $100, the crank cost me $175. The heads are a part of this whole engine that I came off of, so technically the heads were $175. There's the other block that I'm going to be using. So $170 for the crank, $175 for the engine, and $100 for the block, and we are looking at a total of $445 just on engine components, and we also got hooked up with some accessories, so I don't think that's too bad. So my phone died last night, but I got the head off, the oil pan off. I started to take the crank pulley off. I have a 600-pound torque wrench, breakaway torque on my air impact, and it wasn't enough to even move it. So I got this one, 1/2 inch, 1200 foot-pound torque, breakaway torque. We're gonna see if this is strong enough to break this. I spent $120 on it at Harbor Freight. If it doesn't work, then I gotta get the 1700 foot-pound one, which is another $150 on top of $120, so I have to return it. But this is where we're sitting at right now, is getting this off, so that way we can strip the rest and get everything sent over to the machine shop. I also bought weighted sockets, so let's see if this works. We got a bigger one, 1700 foot-pounds. Let's test this one out. All right, we got the adapter. Let's try it out. Oh, shit. 5,500 RPMs. This thing is the size of my stomach. I got it. Now I can finally finish taking this off and get this all taken over to the machine shop. Now, before you go and comment, oh, you should have just used a breaker bar. First off, this engine was already out of the car, so it's not like I could have put a flywheel locking unit on it to lock the flywheel. Second off, I am literally by myself, and I don't have anybody to hold the other side where the flywheel does go onto. I don't have anybody to hold that to. So an impact was the only way I could get this off while holding the crank pulley. Quick break. Only laying down for the drive there. Anytime you're storing a crank, it should be standing upright. This is what is next to come on the build. So we have our heads getting drilled out for M12 studs, the head and the block for M12 studs, head studs, so we could run more boost on the car. The goal will probably be pushing 35, maybe 40 pounds of boost. I don't know if the studs can handle it, but we'll find out. I have heard of people running 20 pounds of boost on a stock motor, and they start to feel, you know, I guess the head's lifting up after that. So I think 35 pounds is doable with upgraded head studs. So that's what is going to be going on. We already got the new crank taken over there. I got the old one in the trunk right now. I just got home, I'm about to drop it off here. So what we're looking at price wise, so you guys can kind of gauge what this is all going to cost. And it's a little bit expensive with this company I'm using, but they specialize in BMWs, BMW builds, and I would rather pay a little bit extra, no worry about the job being done right, than to pay a little bit less and potentially have other issues. So $350 for the block, getting clean, dye penetrant tested, and the deck is getting resurfaced, and they're gonna hone the cylinders. $700 for $699 for the heads refinish. They're basically redoing the entire heads. The valves are getting clean, the heads are getting clean, resurfaced, and they're going to grind the valve seats so that way the valves will seat perfectly in there. So they're going to be doing that. I am going to end up buying different springs though, because we're going to be pushing a lot of boost. I want to get a different spring rate going on so I don't have any issues with valve float. And that costs $699. The drilling of the studs, that's $700. I know it's very expensive, but I don't have the experience to do it myself, and I want a proper job done. I don't want to, oh, let me learn how to do it on this build. No, I'm not going to risk it. They're professionals. I'll let them handle that. So I think that'll be money well spent there, not having to worry about it being done properly, because it is going to be. And then I don't know how much it is going to be for them to clean and crank and polish the crank, but they will also be balancing the crank. So I think that's going to be about another $300-400. So we're already in the ballpark of about $2,000 just for machine work alone. I can't get the crank balanced until I get the rods and pistons, so I'm trying to wait to see what the block is, if they have to oversize anything or bore any of them out. I gotta wait before I buy the pistons. Miami Engines is going to try and hook it up and get me a better deal with rods and pistons. Since they're a distributor, they'll get a better price than what I can get just off their website. But I did message some of these companies and trying to see if we could work out a commercial deal with them, since I do have a license and own a business. Maybe they can hook it up. So yeah, that is what is up to come with this. The next step, we're put in the BMW. We're going to clean it. We're going to pull the engine. We're going to pull the transmission while we're waiting for all this machine work to get done. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and paint the engine bay, because that is the first thing I want to get painted while the engine is already out. So stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for watching and sticking along. Any support helps. I'm in a lot of forums, ask a lot of questions. So if you guys have any questions, shoot.